Ran into Ron Paul about 30 years ago at one of those hard money conferences held at the conference center up in New York. He was a very nice guy. He was a doctor and was running for Congress, or else had just been elected to Congress from a district down around Houston, Texas. Well, all of a sudden, he is emerged into an incredible revolutionary. And Ron Paul's presidential campaign is generating buzz all over the country, from his big internet fundraising totals to his dedicated grassroots support. But will the buzz translate into votes? CBN reporter David Brody takes a look at the Ron Paul revolution.
The crowds are huge, and the rallies full of passion. Welcome to the revolution. The Ron Paul revolution. On the campaign trail, his supporters seem to be everywhere. You see them at different venues with their signs on the streets of America. This 72-year-old grandfather of 18 is soaking it all in.
His spread is all around the country, no matter where I go.
It's become one of the more intriguing campaign storylines. An obscure congressman with very little national name recognition and next to no charisma, yet his message resonates.
I would never do this for anybody else except Ron Paul.
This Ron Paul revolution has become downright emotional for some.
When you see a revolution and you see the word love in it, that's what's going on. Ron Paul will give this country back to the people.
And that, in a nutshell, is the attraction, not to the man, but what he stands for. Ron Paul is a constitutionalist who wants to bring America back to its original principles of limited government. He won't even vote for a bill in Congress unless it's authorized by the Constitution. The Paul Doctrine: eliminate most federal agencies, no more federal income tax, withdrawal from the UN, power back to the states, and a non-interventionist foreign policy.
Vote for Ron Paul and save our rights and our Constitution.
They'd like to see this country turned around where the people have control of their lives, and control of their money, and control of their destiny. And today they feel helpless. They feel like the government's running roughshod over them.
Another surprise is how many young people attend his rallies.
The young people, when they hear the message, they just rally to it. And of course, it's being spread on the internet, and they evidently love the internet.
That they do. As a matter of fact, Ron Paul is the presidential fundraising king of cyberspace. This fall, he raised more than $4 million in one day alone. And just this week, he raised $6 million. With 37,000 donors in all, his fundraising totals put him in the top tier. They include independents and others who aren't your typical mainstream Republican or Democratic voter. Paul, after all, is the only Republican against the war and against the increased government surveillance of the Patriot Act.
And I think it gives you access to our privacy. There may be 10 bad guys out there. And now we monitor billions and billions of transactions that's going on because we might find somebody.
So far, Paul's revolution hasn't moved him into serious contention. His poll numbers creep upward, but nothing to make frontrunners that nervous.
What he has is a sort of buzz about him among a small group of people, and that has helped him raise money. It helped him get some popularity, but it's not translating into the polls. So I think it's very difficult for him to break through.
It's a challenge all second-tier candidates face. In a landscape dominated by other well-known names and faces, it's hard to get attention, but Paul's big-time fundraising totals have helped.
Even though he's not high in the polls, he has been at the debates and been a voice and been a different kind of voice. So I think he's actually broken through in a way that most second-tier candidates don't.
But the way to head north is by buzz and grassroots effort. Mike Huckabee has done that and is leading in Iowa. Paul's challenge is his supporters have the reputation, fair or not, of being on the fringe.
Am I fringe? Am I fringe? I'm not fringe. I am mainstream America that want to take my country back.
I think the facts will change that reputation, because you take the group of individuals that donate more money to me than any other candidate, Republican or Democrat, are military people. So that's hardly fringe. I mean, if you're going to call the people who support me on the fringe.
Privately, the other Republican campaigns do not take Paul seriously. Does he think the candidates blow him off?
Less so every day. They used to try to, but they know we can't. We're not going to go away.
That's for sure, especially on the web, where he is the most organized. Google says he's the most web-searched candidate out there. But he knows internet popularity may not transfer to cold, hard votes.
We got to prove ourselves. You know, we'll have to decide whether it's a myth that we have this strong support, and where is this money coming from if there's just a bunch of people out there spamming? You know, are they spamming money too?
It seems New Hampshire is Paul's firewall. In that independent-minded state, he polls the best and must break through there. But whether Ron Paul shocks the Republican establishment or goes down as a footnote in history, one thing is for sure.
And the Ron Paul revolution lives on.
It'll continue, regardless.
David Brody, CBN News, on the campaign trail somewhere in the middle of the Ron Paul revolution.
Thanks, David. An intriguing candidate. It's just amazing the response of the people on that internet to his message. But you know, it resonates with a lot of people. They just say, I'm sick of the IRS, I'm sick of government regulations, I'm sick of involvement in foreign wars, and I think it's time to change things drastically instead of just incrementally. He wants a major revolution, and he shocks the mainstream terribly.
Well, you have to say it will probably take a major revolution to change things.
He's out for it, but we'll see what he does, whether he's going to play the role of spoiler. How many votes will he get, for example, in New Hampshire, and who will he take the votes away from? You know, did he take them away from McCain, or did he take them away from who? I mean, we don't know right now what the Paul effect's going to be, but he certainly is an intriguing candidate. And I said, I've known him for years and years and years, and he's quite a nice guy. He's a doctor, by the way. He's an MD doctor. I don't think that's brought out that he has that
Right.
credential. Okay, what's next?
Interesting to see what happens. Well, up next.